then to Agne. There you are, always first. Hi, Paula, felis, Joretta 23, Joe. Hi, Renee, Ingram. Hi, how are you? Mary Katso, how are you? DL Shale, how are you? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. You made it to the middle of the week. Look at you all. I'm so proud of you. Midweek, you did it. You did it. You got it here to Veterans Day. How grateful are we, all of us, to make it to Wednesday, but most important, how grateful are all of us to those amongst us who have served our country. Veterans Day is a really big day for our country. It's a big day for all of us to give thanks to people who have served their country, who are serving their country, and to really let them know how much we appreciate what they have done, what they are doing. And that's why I'm really excited to talk to our guest today, Jake Wood, who is an incredible young man. He has written this new book. It came out yesterday. It's called Once a Warrior, How One Veteran Found a New Mission Closer to Home. And Jake started, he was a co-founder and CEO of Team Rubicon, which goes into, it's all former vets, they go into areas, disaster areas, and they help people. I've seen him speak. I've known him for several years. He's really impressive. This book is really impressive. And I'm super excited to talk with him today about his mission, about his fellow vets, about how we can be more mindful, I think, of the journey that so many vets are on. My brother Bobby has done so much on behalf of veterans here in California, really around the country. And he and I were talking this morning before this, and he brought up the fact that more than 6,000, we put this in the midweek, vets commit suicide every year. That number should blow us all away. More than about 37,000, this is the new data, 37,000 veterans experienced homelessness. 37,000 veterans experiencing homelessness, which just kind of blew me away. Female homeless vet count here in LA County, 252 female veterans homeless. And we sit kind of in stone's throw of the big LA veterans housing unit, and there is no unit there for women. And I know Bobby's worked super hard to try to get housing there for vets unsuccessfully. And that's supposedly happening. So one of his big points was that how can we be more mindful of the path of veterans, not just on Veterans Day, but every day? How can we go from not only shouting out veterans on Veterans Day, but how do we become more cognizant of their plight throughout the year? We're trying to find Jake. So that's why maybe you're not, there's Jake, active 5 minutes ago, it says Jake. It says, successfully sent a request to Jake to join us. I hope Jake will be joining us, because we're here waiting for Jake to join us to talk about his new book, to talk about, as I said, how we can be more supportive of veterans in our everyday lives, and what do veterans need from us? What do they need from their country? And there it is. There's no Jake there. Where is Jake? Where is Jake? Maybe he's running off onto a mission, which would be far more important than talking to me. But he's not here yet, and I will just continue to talk about him. I first heard him speak at the Aspen Ideas Festival. He and I were both there for a conference on service. How do we make service a national priority? How can we make more people choose a life of service, be it with the Peace Corps, the Job Corps, AmeriCorps, the military, Teach for America, something we're looking at here in California, Care Corps. So I first, there he is, Jake Wood. Gosh, no, I just saw a thing here. Saw his name pop up there, but I don't see it here. Sydney, we don't see Jake Wood here. So anyway, hopefully we can find Jake Wood, because he's in the middle of a virtual book tour. So we have to also be cognizant of that he is right now out pushing his book, which came out yesterday. My brother Bobby said there is a lot of love for Jake out on Twitter about this book. And he and I spoke a couple weeks ago, and he said, I'd love to come on Veterans Day to talk to you about my book. And Jake has written for the Sunday paper quite a bit in the past. And so this is another way of trying to highlight the incredible work I hope that Jake does, if we can find Jake, but we can't find Jake. So anyway, I think many of the blurbs on the back of this book, one from Tom Brokaw, Once a Warrior, is what America needs right now. Jake Wood's life-changing experience is the reminder of the greatest of the American spirit. And how, there,
right.
Jake. Oh, Jake.
I have been in the whole time trying to navigate this Instagram live. Sorry to keep you waiting. How are you doing?
You can navigate foreign lands. You can navigate disastrous areas. You can go in where there's no power, there's no running water, and you can navigate. And here, I'm waiting for you to navigate getting to me.
I'm losing all sorts of street cred right now. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, lucky for you, I've been sitting here blabbing on about how incredible you are and all about your brand new book. You started Team Rubicon almost 10 years ago, and now you have your first book. How does it feel right now?
Exhausting, I will tell you that. I know you've written some great books, and I know you know the drill. I mean, you're out there. It's been good. Like, we've had great media. Was on CBS this morning today. We'll be on Fox and Friends tomorrow. But I've just been hearing the sound of my own voice all day.
It's interesting because I think so many people want to write a book and they don't really know what goes into writing a book. And then once you've written the book, getting it out there, because there's so many books that come out there. How has this surprised you? I mean, it's one big thing to write the book, the story of Team Rubicon, your own story, a veteran story at large, but then getting it out into the world. What surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, man, I guess you kind of think the publisher is always going to do all the work for you, and then you realize that you get to this point and they're like, all right, go sell it. It's like, oh shit, I thought that was your job. No, I kid. I've had a great experience with my publisher. It's been awesome, but you kind of just assume that people just are going to buy it, and then you realize, no, actually it's all on you to go out there and drum up the interest and make sure that the message is getting out. So it's been a slugfest, but it's going well so far.
Isn't that kind of like life? Isn't that kind of like Team Rubicon, actually, in a way? You see a disaster and you think someone else is going to go take care of it for you. You think the government, just like the book publisher, is going to come in and solve it. And you actually looked at disasters and said, we can go. We're veterans. We've served our country. We're mission-focused people. We can go do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think as I've gone through life now, made a few trips around the sun, I think I've realized you kind of just have to force your will upon, reality. You have to force your will upon the universe. And that's certainly what we did a decade ago when we started Team Rubicon. And, we didn't want to resign ourselves to fate. We saw people who needed help, and we knew that we had the opportunity to help. And so, and in the decades since Haiti, when we first had that mission, our future has never been certain, right? We've had to fight every step along the way to grow this into the amazing organization it is today. And it just never surprises me. I think people always assume that being an entrepreneur is easy. Being your own boss is easy. I know you run your own company, you run your own media empire. Like, it's hard. And the bigger it gets, the harder it gets. It doesn't get any easier with scale.
But what I'm interested in, Jake, is I know, and by the way, I should say Happy Veterans Day and thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
I just want to say that you said something there. You said, we knew we could help. We saw a disaster and we, as veterans, knew we could help. So many people don't think that they can help. Take them into a mindset of, we can help.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think every single day we have the opportunity to improve the world around us. We have the opportunity to stand on the sidelines, or even worse, like make it a worse place. And for me, it was, that was a big grand adventure, taking a team down to Haiti after the earthquake, and it's been building a nonprofit that responds to disasters in the decades since. But it's little acts of service that can make the world around us a better place too. And I think that one of the things I'm concerned about is, at times I see people in my community, my community is kind of like the American community, and they've grown apathetic, right? They have become self-centered. They are less concerned about, their neighbors. They oftentimes don't even literally know their neighbor's name. And that's not the America I want to live in. It's not the America I defended. I want to live in an America where we have empathy for those who are different from us, who, in America where we reach across, to different parts of town to help people through their worst moments. And, if we can think of anything that approaches a positive with COVID-19, it's that we actually did see people rise to the occasion and help people that they've never met in remarkable ways over the last 7 or 8 months, which is good.
When you say that's not the America I defended, what is the America you defended? What is the America you are defending still to this day?
Yeah, I think I grew up. I grew up in the Midwest, and I grew up idealistic about America, because America was really good to me. I had a great public school education. I had 2 great parents. My dad always had a job. It was the American dream. And then I got to college, and I started to realize that not everybody's America was the same as mine. I got into the Marine Corps, and I served in an infantry platoon where I certainly saw people from different walks of life, and realized that, other people's America is not the same as mine. And it just gave me a perspective where I could look at America for what it is, imperfect. And that's okay. I think one of the things that's always defined America is our desire to be better, right? We were founded imperfectly, the stain of slavery and many other things, women's suffrage, like we didn't get it right out of the gate. But I think over time, we've always been really committed to seeking that more perfect union. Yeah. But we can't lose that initiative.
Yeah, that desire, that mindset, that mission-focused mindset. What did you talked about Team Rubicon, which you co-founded 10 years ago, like 130-some thousand volunteers. Really an extraordinary organization. I hope people will check it out, Team Rubicon. But you wanted to write this book. What did you want this book to tell the American public, to tell the country that you defended? What did you want them to know?
Yeah, it's a story of service. It's my story going to war. It's my story coming home. And I think, most importantly, it's a story of Team Rubicon. And through that, it's really all of these amazing Americans who drop everything in their life to go to a community they've never been to help people they've never met. I mean, that's just inspiring. And I think, I actually fought my publisher. I wanted this published as close to the election as possible, which they thought that was crazy. And I said, no, America needs to hear this message. We need inspiration. We need confidence that America's best days are ahead of it and not behind it. And I hope that I accomplished that with this book. Now we just need people to read it so that they can get inspired by it.
Well, they will. They'll read it because it's an authentic story. And as you say, it's about the best of us. It's aspirational. It's inspirational. It's true. Right. And it taps into who we want to see ourselves as. So for sure, they'll read that. But I also, and I was saying before you came on here, that you've written for the Sunday paper and helped us kind of celebrate or look again at Veterans Day every year. And my brother Bobby, who said to say hi to you before I told him today that we were going to talk, he was saying, how do we get people not to just on Veterans Day say, happy Veterans Day, thanks for the service, we love our vets, but actually show our vets that we care about them. We have here in Los Angeles a terrible homeless vet
which
situation.
Bobby's worked a lot on.
Bobby has worked a huge amount on it, but we still have a terrible problem. We have something we mentioned in the Sunday paper midweek today. More than 6,000 vets kill themselves every year. We have terrible mental health challenges facing vets, and somehow it doesn't become a priority for our country. Why is that?
It's a thorny question. I think one of the challenges that we face today is that, we're in a battle for the narrative of what a veteran is. And I think that veteran's been hijacked. I think well-intentioned, but hijacked, and because that narrative has become that anybody that serves in the military, anybody that went overseas is coming back broken. And the reality is they're not. Some are, right? You know, I served with men who've come back with horrible injuries, physical injuries. I served with men who came back with mental and emotional wounds, but the vast majority came back stronger. I believe I came back stronger from my experience overseas. It didn't break me. It made me the leader that I am today. It made me capable of building an organization like Team Rubicon. And so I think what we have to do is correct that narrative. We have to convince our society that these veterans are assets, that they are leaders, and that, you know, in a broken and divided country, perhaps they're the people that can help lead us to a future state in which we actually can speak to one another and solve problems collaboratively. Because listen, that's what they had to do overseas. So
yeah,
I think that's really important.
We also saw in this election, to that point, more than 100, almost 150 vets stepped up to run for office.
Yeah, which is inspiring.
Yeah, totally inspiring. I saw that number. I was like, wow, that is a lot. Female, male veterans stepped up and said, you know, I served my country overseas. I want to serve my country here. What difference do you think vets make when they get into public life like that?
I think that they're mission oriented, right? I mean, that's kind of like an obvious statement, but how does that translate to politics? I mean, I think they understand that there's no such thing as a perfect plan. There's no such thing as a perfect outcome. And so the battlefield is full of compromises, right? You don't always get what you want because you don't control everything. You know, the enemy has a say. And so, you know, I think that people are willing to you know, find compromise. They're willing to work hard. They're willing to reach across the aisle. You have to do that. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to like everybody in your platoon in the infantry, but you have to be able to work with them in the pursuit of a common goal. And we see that time and again. And then I'll say one more thing, you know, with the decline of participation of veterans in Congress has been a corresponding decline of the public's faith in Congress. And so how do we restore that? I don't think veterans are, you know, a silver bullet for it, but I think that they'll go a long way towards helping to restore some of that.
When the title of this book, Once a Warrior, is that once a warrior, always a warrior?
I think that's the question I wanted to ask. And, you know, there was an exploration throughout the book that, you know, readers will pick up on where, you know, I think I'm trying to, you know, through the narrative, explore that question. Who was I when I was in war and who am I when I come out? And yes, I mean, you know, at the risk of spoiling the end, I think that, you know, I think that being a warrior is as much a mentality, it's as much an attitude, it's as much a responsibility as it is a role. And, you know, I think that that's been an important takeaway for me and an important perspective to gain as more time and space has come between me and my combat time.
How do you define that? I've been writing a kind of off of a little bit of what the Pope has talked about, that this time in our world requires tenderness and courage from people in the public space. And I call that tender warriors, people who have tender hearts, courageous spirits. But warriors to me mean people not that are violent in nature, but are mission oriented, courageous, tender hearted, but stay the course. How do you define a warrior?
I think a warrior is someone who lives a life for other people. You know, and so I think very much aligned with what you're talking about. I think tenderness takes courage. I think often people will misguidedly think that tenderness is weakness, and I just don't ascribe to that. I was a Marine sniper with 2 heavy combat tours. I would like to consider myself a tender person. I don't think anybody would try to dispute my warrior credentials.
So that is really, I hope people kind of pause with that. You know, holding that paradox of somebody who's a sniper, a warrior, and tender-hearted man at the same time, that we can hold that paradox in people who are running organizations, in public life, writing books, that we don't really have to choose. I say that a lot to women today, right? You don't have to choose to be just one kind of definition of a woman or one kind of definition of a man. And I think that that's really kind of what you're living out, right? You can go and serve in the military, but you can come back and find service and mission and a warrior sense in the streets, in the neighborhoods you live in, whether it's going into disaster areas. So to me, that really is what you're about.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I don't know how many conversations I've had with veterans, or I'm sorry, military members who are afraid of getting out because they think that, their whole identity is tied to this warrior mentality, and they're concerned that they won't know who they are if they're not a warrior in the service. And I explore this in one of the chapters with a guy that I served with in Afghanistan that I ran into a decade later. And we had that conversation. I said, listen, there's plenty of ways to serve your country, your community, to live a life for others that don't involve carrying a gun in foreign lands. And, and I hope people understand that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. People say, thank you so much for writing this book, that they're going to read it. I remember, asking you a while ago, what was the one question or what was the one thing you wanted people to say to veterans on Veterans Day?
Well, listen, I think we can thank veterans for their service. We should show gratitude to those that have risked their lives. But I think more importantly, it's important for us to ask them the story of their service. Yeah. I think it's those stories that we owe them to hear and to internalize, so that we understand the true cost of sending our sons and daughters to conflict in foreign lands.
That is beautiful. I remember you wrote that. Tell me the story of your service. And this is Jake Wood's story. It's the story of his life. It's the story of his service on foreign lands and the story of his service here in this country. And he got how one veteran found a new mission closer to home. And I love that. This book is great. It was a long time in the making. It was a long time in the development. He has a lot of really fancy people blurbing it on the back, but I noticed that he doesn't have one woman. So I'm going to blurb it here for us. This is the story of a good man who served his country and continues to serve his country. And we can all learn a lot from his life story and his service and his mission. There's your female blurb.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
Anyway, Jake Wood, the book is out. Bobby told me you're getting a lot of love on Twitter. You're getting a lot of love here on Instagram. I hope you get all the love that you deserve, and I know you will. And the great thing about books, Jake, is they have a life of their own.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the first couple of days. It's, as you said, it's a marathon, but people find books and they read them in the privacy of their own spaces and places, and books take people to places they never dreamt of. So I know how much work it is to do a book and to get it out there. So God bless you and bravo.
Thank you. Thank you for all the support.
Thank you for your service.
It was worth it. God
bless you.
Bye-bye.
That is Jake Wood and his new book, as I said, once again, Once a Warrior, and the story of Team Rubicon, but really the story of his service for his country and the mission mindset that never leaves somebody who serves. So I love Jake. As I said, I met him many years ago and was just moved by his, before I knew anything about him, moved by the speech he gave, the service mindset that he had, the aspiration that he had for himself and for the people who had served and for his country. And it's really great to be around somebody like that who kind of looks up and looks around and then brings us with them on the journey. So I hope, yes, Joe says he's so full of service. That he is. And I hope if you buy any books this week or this month or today, especially today, please buy Jake's book and thank him for his service. And if you meet a vet today, please ask them about their service. That's what he said means a lot to veterans. Ask them about the story of their service. So thank you all so much for joining us. You made it to the midweek. Thank you for spending time with us here.